November meeting of the Athens Recreation Advisory Board. It's Thursday, November 21st, 5:31, and call this meeting to order. Finally, looks like we've got a full quorum today, so we can move forward with approving of the minutes and taking care of some of this continuing business that's been stuck on the agenda for a while. Has everyone had a chance to look at September and October's minutes?
Motion to approve.
We got a motion?
Second.
All right. Beautiful. All right, good. Moving right along. The new business for today is to talk about recruitment of a new member, so we can hop back up to a full board. And then also confirming existing members' interest. And this was something I put on the agenda, not that I have any insider knowledge about someone wanting off, but I think we are coming up on like our year or 2 year like anniversaries of when I think Stuart and Ann, were you a January? So you're coming up on 2 years.
Yes.
Just so for the folks who aren't new and who have been here,
Anne was on it before us.
oh,
Yeah,
Ann
Ann
started
was on
with
before
me,
us.
maybe.
Correct.
Yeah.
You guys got put on first, and then Stuart and I were asked later. So I feel like we've only
We're
been
in the summer.
in a year.
I can tell you.
Thank you, Catherine.
It was a co-meeting that I think was our
Yeah.
first one.
Yes.
Stuart, your term is set to end February 5th, 2026. It's also renewable, but
That's the
Emily, May 19th, 2027. Heather, who is not
We'll be
here
yeah,
anymore.
we'll be
Okay.
replacing.
And then John, May 19th, 2027. So you're the same with Emily. And LaRue, January 16th, 2026. Megan, January 16th, 2026. And Annie, term ending January 2025.
Huh. We started after. Why would that be?
I think that there must be, because there's no even date. So unless,
Stuart and I definitely started together.
yeah,
Did
that's
you-
what.
Were you filling one that was?
Oh, I
That's what, yeah. If you're
Okay.
filling a term that
Okay.
had been vacated before that term
That's what I was
expired, then you fulfill that term, and
Okay.
then you're up for renewal. Which, if you wanted to remain, I don't see why the mayor wouldn't,
Okay.
continue. But that's just something that we should,
so good to know
yeah,
that.
submit actually, or maybe you can either talk about that today or at the December meeting. But you want to put something forward. Might want to figure that out today, actually. Put something forward to the mayor so that the mayor can,
Yeah, what is the, like,
I
for
feel like I
Annie,
should know
what
that
is
at
the
this point.
procedure if she-
As, I think it does have to go back through the mayor council, but I don't think it's any.
So Annie, you were finishing up a vacated term, like the remainder of a term. Mm-hmm. Are you interested? That's
If
what you on
the
this, on the,
committee thinks that this is helpful for me to be on it, then I'm happy to serve and fulfill a commitment.
And then
I'm also happy to step back if you need somebody else on this board.
so a new 3-year term would start for Annie in January then.
Yeah, you can serve 3 consecutive terms and
Wow. So
appointed in the
31.
same manner as the original appointments.
For life.
Oh, wait, so it might be, it says vacancies on this committee occurring otherwise than by the expiration of terms, so someone vacating before the term expires, shall be filled for the unexpired term and appointed in the same manner as the original appointments.
So we do just need a little clarification if Annie has to go and get reapproved.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because now I'm like, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so I did get a phone call from somebody, and they said, "Are you going to stay on it?" And I said, "I think so. Why?" Okay, that's great. And so
Oh,
do
do you remember who that someone was?
it was the mayor who
Oh,
out of the blue 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "What is happening?
okay, so-
what am I?"
I think
okay,
that was
cool.
Now that makes sense.
That's,
6 more years.
that's what it
Why he
is.
was calling. I was like, "What have you heard?" Because I have said nothing. So this will make sense. But I didn't know if I could
Okay.
say that.
I bet Patty was going through and making sure
Okay.
that
Probably
the
this
board,
thinking about the
yeah.
end of the year
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
am.
That makes sense, but I was so
Patty
confused
keeps
because I
us
was like,
straight.
I've said nothing. What is happening?
Oh my gosh, that's
Maybe
funny.
you think I'm, like,
Okay. So
pushing
he's
you.
probably getting that reappointment letter
If you guys
together.
don't want me on the board, I'm okay.
But we do, but so just, letting folks know at the change of the year, things, as schedules change, things like that. If it no longer fits or for whatever reason, right, we want to make sure that we have enough time to get folks, either new folks nominated to the mayor or finding replacements. But we do need to put out a call for at least one new member. How are we going? Should we resubmit that survey, the Google interest form from the last time? Do we have to go to the mayor and tell him that we are looking for a new?
You don't have to, no, we can just, kind of send that information back out if
Okay.
you're ready to open that up. I know one person had mentioned that she was going to try to be here tonight just to see how it ran, who was interested. So I don't know if she's still going to make it, but Boo from
Oh.
the Down Syndrome Association of Central Ohio.
Great. Sure. So, do you still have access to that? I think.
Probably should. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
I just need to find it.
if you do, could you email it to all of
Yep.
us and then board post on various social medias
And we
or
can,
just
yeah.
keep it in the back of your mind if in conversation someone mentions they're interested in this, that we have a vacancy, so we can start that process. Maybe in the new year, folks are looking for a new opportunity, a new place to volunteer. This might be a good time just to say, even though the holidays themselves are very busy, maybe the new year will bring some new folks to us. Any other thoughts, concerns from the folks? And feel free to, once we have that Google interest form, once you have that, you don't have to just disseminate it publicly. If you have someone in mind that you think would be a great fit and you want to talk to them, one-on-one or share directly to them, that's great too. Okay. So we'll go on then to our continuing business. We are looking for two ideally, folks.
Yeah. Ideally two, one will suffice.
Okay. Who would like to meet with the Municipal Arts Council to talk about the pocket park going up in the front of the community center? Do you want to just
Yeah.
remind us all a little bit about what's?
Did folks have a chance to review the request for proposals draft that I sent along about the sculpture? Okay, cool. So basically, the ad hoc committee would not really do too much right now until we open up the request for proposals, until we open up the call for proposals, and then when it's time to review all of those proposals. I know that AMAC mentioned that they would likely try to find one or two community members who aren't on the Recreation Advisory Board or the Athens Municipal Arts Commission to be a part of that ad hoc committee, because then basically the folks on the ad hoc committee will serve as the jurors for that. So they would review the proposals, which would be the sculptures, make sure that it hits the requirements that, we set out of this is the purpose of it. These are the basic requirements, and make sure that their application, is good, but then also from there choose which sculpture that they would like to recommend up. Like, this is a sculpture that we feel like. And I don't know, and I think this might be something that the ad hoc committee can figure out on their own. Maybe they put up, this is our first, second, and third choice, something like that. But yeah, so I think more so the ad hoc committee's jobs will start a little bit more heavily in the review process, and then letting the artists know I forget what I said the deadline was going to be, February, end of February. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was like the end of February or March 1st or something like that would be whenever the application would close. So then basically during March would be the time that the jurors would get together, ad hoc committee, and review everything and select and put forward the recommendations to us, so that by the beginning of April or whatever deadline it was that I put in there, we can let the artists know, so that then they can start on their work.
Anyone interested in serving on the jury? Statue.
Do you know what kind of time commitment is it? Like once an evening per month or something?
Well, yeah. So basically, I don't really see a need other than a need to meet in December at all. Maybe in February, once it gets closer, to try to come up with a schedule and plan for review. But yeah, whenever I imagine that everyone would have access to review on their own the applications, and then probably come together for one meeting to figure out what sculpture to recommend. So I don't think it's too terribly much, because basically, if y'all have any feedback to give me about the request for proposals, I can make those edits. But AMAC is good with it, and so we were going to start. I have a list of avenues to start pushing that information out, so I would push that information out. So that's not anybody has to worry about that. And I need to still make sure that that file for submission, their link for submission, is still good. I'll take care of that stuff, and then it would just kind of be waiting. And I would say help from the ad hoc committee in getting that information out once it starts disseminating. If you're like, oh, and you think of something else, either let me know or just like share that information with somebody that you might know. But I don't think for now that there's much of a commitment. And then once the review happens and we let the artists know, then it's more in communication with us, me, or Adam, and just to make sure that they're sticking on the timeline, because there's a pay schedule for them. So they get paid a third up front to help get the project going once they sign their contract. So all that contract information comes to me. It's not anything that ad hoc committee has to do. And then once they show 50% completion, then they get a second payout. And then once it's delivered and installed, they get a third. Or I think it's once they either are ready for delivery, and the installation is on us more so, not the artist. But in there's the last payout for them. So those kinds of things aren't anything that the ad hoc committee has to manage or work on. The ad hoc committee could, if they wanted to, they could be a part of helping us plan the sculpture opening, and celebration. I know that's what AMAC did for the sculpture park, and I know that's a different beast, but also the same idea of they have, been a part of trying to make sure that the artists and the community has a place to come and celebrate that. And so I think that is definitely what we want to do for the sculpture opening at the community center. And that's something that the ad hoc committee could help with if they wanted to, but that's not necessarily what they've been charged with right now.
Is there a budget or an amount that they're provided in the application that says this is what?
$9,000 is for the awarded artists. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Anyone interested?
I mean, I'm happy to do it if nobody else is willing to.
I don't know my spring semester schedule quite well enough to volunteer, but I can. I don't know. Yeah,
Sure.
John. Great.
It doesn't sound like we're getting too much more enthusiasm.
So John and Megan, or no, I don't know if you were committing.
Sure.
Okay. Again, I think most of it is in March. And I don't think it's necessarily a heavy lift, but more so making sure that you all are able to provide input and from your perspectives, and even bring it back to the Recreation Advisory Board. Like, we can kind of figure out the timing so that both committees have a chance to also review.
When does the application process open?
I was shooting for like December 2nd, so
And then until end of February to submit your application?
yeah.
February 10th
that's-
is what your RFP says.
February
February
10th is
10th.
what is, yep.
So likely that the ad hoc group, committee would meet after the 10th, like
Yeah, yeah.
once it's closed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
March 1st is the deadline on the RFP for completed review process.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
Fantastic.
thank you.
Great job putting it together.
Yes.
Great.
I was
Okay.
a little off on my dates.
This is very exciting, I think, to move forward with
Yeah.
this project.
And I can connect you all with Kate and no, Kate and the people from AMAC who my brain is okay. I don't have it on in this little booklet. Kate and someone else from AMAC.
So
I can connect
it's
you.
not the full Municipal Arts Council.
No,
They're just
it's
sending
their
a couple
ad hoc,
folks over. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then moving on down.
Right along.
This was just revisiting, since I knew we were going to have, a quorum if we needed to, or were ready to talk about necessary ad hoc committees for 2025, particularly things that are being planned for the anniversary. So that's,
Yeah.
we can push that to December too, if, but I didn't know if in conversations with staff, if anybody had expressed a project or something that would need.
Yeah, we kind of identified the overall 2025 activities for the coming year, and then events each month that we would have. That some of the events are events that we already have, but making sure that we tie in the 25th anniversary to it, and then others are added events. And I know one of the things that we are going to carry forward with has to do with the sculpture park. And I know, Annie, you had mentioned that you would be interested, but the brick sponsorship program and for the path around the sculpture. And so Erin has experience doing that in her previous job before she came here. And so a total more holistic sponsorships fundraising ad hoc committee would be helpful. And then
So are they gonna come up with a cost per brick, and are there gonna be different sizes of bricks so that if you were wanting to give a larger amount, you can get a larger brick? Or
yeah, and that's something that we need to come up with. But yeah, the idea is that, and Erin said the way it works with her former organization is you have all the bricks laid, and then that don't already necessarily have sponsorships, and then you have this cache of bricks somewhere, and then whenever someone buys a brick, then you get it engraved and you just swap it out. And then we have larger stones that we can use for seating that you can put plaques on. And then we haven't come up with a solidified idea but around the base of the sculpture there could be opportunities as well. So we haven't come up with those details, and that's one of the things that an ad hoc committee could help us with, or just working with someone from the rec advisory board. More if anybody has any experience or suggestions on that, I think that's kind of the.
Is there a target? Is there gonna be a target number of what they're, an amount that's trying to be raised from this particular?
For that
fundraiser?
particular, no, we
This
haven't gotten
piece?
that far
Okay.
down the line on that one yet.
Okay.
But
I mean,
those
I'd
are
be
all
happy
things
to
that
help
we
out on
work
this.
on.
I've
Yeah,
got a lot
I'd
of
be happy
experience
to
with
help
that.
out with it.
yeah, that would be awesome.
So
Yeah,
So I wonder if it's less of a need for multiple ad hoc committees, and then maybe just each of us sort of individually identifying what we are interested in helping with, or an area of expertise moving forward, whether it's fundraising or programmatic or marketing or whatever, and then just coming to you and saying, here's the way that we can help.
yeah. Well, and part of if we did have a maybe a more formalized ad hoc committee on the specific fundraising aspects, then not just like coming up and helping with ideas, but also helping us reach out to people to solicit sponsorships and funds and get the word out that this is an option. So that could definitely be something that's a little bit more involved.
And the pathway exactly is kind of going where's the,
So if you are walking out of the front of the community center and you look directly at the hedges
okay,
and there's some bike racks, we'll take those out because we have plenty of bike racks in that area. And it's basically there's kind of an opening between the hedges already, and so the pathway would start in that opening and then kind of go not exactly to the middle because the sculpture would be in the middle, but lead into that area. And the hedges will go.
And are you still thinking of trying to find donors to sponsor certain areas within the inside of the community center?
Yeah, we just haven't carried that forward with our with my staff.
Internally,
Yeah.
like with your staff, do you have folks who are like earmarked to do specific anniversary fundraising or anything like that?
Yeah, so far Erin and Nicole have been working on like sponsorship ideas. Like Nicole just got our dog park sponsorship information out and solidified, and so she's starting on that. So she'll be able to focus on, and she does have ideas that she's been wanting to work on to help with fundraising. So those two are excited about that. Yeah.
Where are we coming down on?
So maybe in fundraising ad hoc committee, and then there's going to be multiple tasks probably of like different. No, what is it? 2 to 3. You can't have more than 3 because you can't have a quorum. Or it's a public meeting.
Do you think, Catherine Ann, that it would make sense to set a goal for your team, for the community center in general, and then we can help how you see fit, but then at least you have something that you're working towards that, then at the 11th hour, if we're close or something like that, that might entice somebody to increase their gift or something to help you get over that threshold.
Well, yeah, we'll set a goal for sure,
Okay.
but we just haven't gotten there.
Got it.
But getting help, having an ad hoc committee, I feel like is separate from that too.
So, are there folks with an interest in serving on an ad hoc?
yeah, I mean, I would help with that.
Awesome, thank you.
It would help me to know if we're considering other ad hoc committees also.
That is, I think
Yeah.
the one current that seems to be is fundraising. Is there anything
Yeah.
else?
I know that we floated several ideas, but I think that's the part where that is the category that I could see getting the most value from the rec advisory board than other of the more programmatic activity related items.
It's also a year-long event where,
Yeah.
as moving into like the summer months, there may be a reason to have a more like official, concentrated, some kind of help. So,
Yeah,
So for now, let's
Yeah.
stick with the fundraising.
yeah.
Okay.
If it's just the one ad hoc committee, should we just add it as a standing item to our regular meetings rather than make it a separate task?
So the reason ad hocs, I guess, are helpful because then you can meet outside of your regular meeting without it being a technical public meeting, as long as there's not a quorum present.
So we can have 2, a max of 3 on that.
Yeah.
And then we can, then the reports back can just then be a regular agenda item once we have established the ad hoc, which, that makes the
Yeah.
most sense.
No, more than 3 people aren't allowed to meet. I mean, then it would be, and discuss business, because then it would be a public meeting and it would need to be announced and follow all of those rules. But the ad hoc committees allow for some people to at least get together and carry forward some business of the board.
So really, we're talking about 2 ad hoc committees, the sculpture RFP committee and the fundraising committee. I'm happy to help with either one of them.
Great.
So, Megan, I know you were going to help with the sculpture, but if you'd rather I help with the sculpture and I'm happy to help with either one.
Fundraise
If you
away.
want the sculpture, I can go
All right.
I have no experience with
Whichever you
any of
prefer.
these things.
No, that's fine.
I mean, same.
That sounds great. We'll have Emily and Stuart on.
Okay, great.
Am I on that
Thank
committee
you.
too, or I'm not on that committee?
You want?
You
you wanna
haven't
be?
submitted.
Oh, I thought that you already said that I was on it.
Did I say that
And,
you were
and
on it?
Annie on the fundraising too.
I thought that at the beginning you said Annie. We're gonna have you sync up with Erin. So I'm confused. I'm confused.
Sorry. That was not, I was not telling you, but if at the very least, if you wanted to help Erin with the brick sponsorship, because I know you had mentioned that, but then that led into this. So
Okay.
if you
So
want to
that's
be on
gonna
the
tie
ad hoc,
those two together.
that's in the
fundraising
fundraising. Yeah.
committee is part of
The brick, yeah.
pathway.
Be on the ad.
I'm so confused.
Why don't
Whatever
you do,
mean.
why
You're
don't
on
you
the
be the second
fundraising
person on the
committee,
fundraising committee?
Okay.
I'll be the second person on the sculpture committee, since you don't know, Megan, what your spring is gonna look like.
Okay. And
about
then you
that?
can hop in.
So we're
And then
on the
Megan can
Okay.
plug in where
committee?
necessary.
The three of us or the two of us? Okay.
So I got John
for the record.
and Emily on ad hoc committee for sculpture, and with AMAC. And then we've got Stuart and
Annie.
Annie on ad hoc for fundraising.
What do we call the first one? The
Sculpture.
ad hoc committee?
Yeah, 25th anniversary sculpture.
Erin wants help getting creative about different assets of getting sponsorships. That's my wheelhouse. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
happy to help
that's perfect, and I think that's what we'll do, because also with the ad hoc committee, you would want a person from my department to be there as well. So Erin would likely be that person that could meet with you all and with Stuart and Annie for the fundraising and keep that ball rolling. And then for John and Emily with the sculpture, it's going to be with AMAC, and then eventually Adam West. I'll just pass him along, so he'll be a part of that process once. So that would be your person from the department, so that it's like cohesive and it's all working within our goals and what we can do and achieve, and then we can take that information and do stuff with it. So I'll connect everyone offline and we'll make a plan from there, but that's
And then we'll just have standing agenda items now with the report back from each
Yes.
ad hoc committee. We'll just that'll be.
cool.
Yeah, and
Thank
this is,
you.
yeah, and the ad hoc committee, like I said, we can
Yeah.
revisit that next year as well as we get further into the year if other things pop up.
Yeah, thank y'all. That's just awesome.
Okay, on to the APR staff report.
All right. Well, I want to start off with very exciting news. I submitted our Halloween Uptown event for an award for the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association. Every year they have awards of excellence with many different categories, and so with our membership, we can submit one award for free, and then you can pay to submit more applications. But we didn't do that this year. we put our free application in, and we were awarded third place in the community events category, which is really exciting. So we'll be recognized at the state conference in February. And I had framed the reason I put it up for an award in the community events is because we really worked hard to change the culture of Uptown Halloween, and we have felt like that we definitely have, and Emily's like giving me some big nods of just improving the experience for all of the people in Athens, and really creating a space to help businesses as well on that day, and provide an opportunity for families to experience. The city puts a lot of funds into closing down Court Street for the day. There's a lot of we start months and months in advance, meeting about safety and planning and coordinating, and then we have so many city staff who work overtime, and they're working through the evening and into the early morning hours. So anyways, that's kind of how I framed it, and they loved it, and so we got an award. So we have an award-winning Halloween event. It was pretty exciting. Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you. We were. It's exciting to see the different, because you can also they have available to everyone to look at the different applications that were submitted as well. So you can see, like, what does it take to be a first place award, right? And then also, what are other people doing? So it's a really cool process where you can still see what other people around the state are doing. All right, so I took the 25th anniversary off the things to think about because we're there. And internally, we had a good staff meeting today and started assigning different tasks and different events to each other. But I'm leaving the 20th anniversary for Arts West in 2026 because that one will be here before we know it. The budget, I think that I don't think it's been read for the first time. I know that our budget for the city has been through the first, financing committee meeting. But I did not see, they've had 2 full council meetings since then, and I didn't see it on the ordinance for first reading on either one of those. So it's somewhere still being deliberated and discussed and moved around and worked around, I guess, which is fine. They're on track to still pass it, I think. I guess it is getting late. Let's see, I have on here, I haven't changed anything from last week, so I'll just leave that for what we're hoping to accomplish in 2025. I just like leaving that there. West State Street Park, we have benches in the dog park now, and the protective netting project is complete. So those are awesome things to have checked off. And then exciting news about the new restroom facility that has been a multi-year process of trying to get restrooms down there. We are under contract now for a prefabricated restroom. It's 4 family restrooms. There's a universal changing table in one of those, the baby changing table in the others. Aiming for the delivery and installation in June/July 2025. So basically, we have to prep the ground and the stub outs for it, which we will do, and we're working towards. And then they come. They're working on getting state permits right now with the design and the plans. And then once they have that, then they'll manufacture the building into 2 parts, and then they deliver it and they crane it, pop it on, and hook it up, and then it's good to go. So hopefully in the summer we will have a restroom, a new one down there at West State Street Park. And Richland Avenue Playground, the new playground is open, and we had a couple people from the board who were able to come to the ribbon cutting, so thank you for coming. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. And the community center, so I'm trying to just hit the big things. We have tree removal at Sells Park that's happening right now. That project had a little bit of delay because of the weather, because it's been dry forever, and then all of a sudden when they start, it's not. That's okay. They're working through it, and they're doing a good job. And then the skate park, we had our floodplain permit approved because we are gonna have extend out and create more of a streetscape up at the top. But it is getting late in the year, so we think that's gonna have to be postponed to next year. But that's okay. We have the funds, and we'll just add it to funds we hopefully get next year, and it'll be even better. But we are getting all the steps in ducks in a row. Our department happenings. We will have our next FAM Jam on January 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. And we're really excited. We're going to be partnering with the DSACO, but Down Syndrome Association of Central Ohio, and they serve, oh man, I forgot how many counties. It's I want to say 25, but I could be wrong, in Ohio. That seems like a lot. But anyways, we're one of the counties they serve. And they have all the equipment for a silent disco. So a silent disco is, everybody gets a headphone, and they can control the volume, and then they also have kind of a certain number of tracks that you can choose from. And so they can, whoever wants to participate in the silent disco can still, dance and get their groove on, but kind of in their own space that makes them feel comfortable. So we're really excited that Boo's going to come on Monday, and she's going to bring our equipment so we can look at it and try to help plan. But that's really exciting. And we had our riparian area planting November 2nd, and then we had more trees planted the following weekend, and that's for a total of 55 trees planted in the riparian area, which is huge. That's a lot of trees. We've been averaging like 20 to 30, and so, whew. So it looks good out there, which is exciting. And then we're working on creating a food forest for next year in that same area, so that'll be exciting. All right, some new programming stuff that's coming up. We're bringing back our winter mileage challenge at the community center. That'll start the 1st of December, December 2nd. New Year, New You membership drive. We'll start that December 2nd, and then our Santa mailbox, which actually is already up, but we'll start accepting letters soon, so that we can take it to the North Pole, and we will accept responses from Santa and the elves and send them back to people. Then we have our winter programming starting, futsal, and people are moving more indoors now, so our gym space gets a little bit more heavily programmed. So it's a little tighter for folks, but it's all good things. And Nicole's been working on a few things. She's gonna get a backpacking clinic. It'll be free to the community. She's working on a date. And she's also had an intern with her, and they've been working on a lot of environmental education related items, but he is going to host a scavenger hunt at Sells Park on December 7th, so that's kind of, I think, his culminating project for his internship. So arts, so some of our programming is wrapping up for the semester, and then the next piece is that Adam is working on planning out what the gallery will look like beginning in the late winter, early spring. It's going to look a little different than we have normally had, but we're really excited. It'll be a nice gallery event once we get all of the pieces built and the lights set up, and I'll leave it as a surprise for everybody. And in our parks, some of the things are still there. Nothing much has changed. And we're aerating and seeding soccer fields. So, yeah.
How did the hunt go?
The hunt is still on.
Oh,
yeah.
excuse me.
We are in season 3, session 3, not season 3 of the hunt.
I like season. We have confirmed we have 1 harvested deer so far. I believe there might be more, but I haven't followed up with our hunters yet. But 1 has called and said they harvested deer. And then I was talking to 1 yesterday as he was scouting the area, and he was like, wow, I could take a lot of deer. They're just they're all around me right now. And I was like, it's like, well, maybe you should get off the phone with me. He was scouting, so he wasn't ready to hunt. He was scouting the place, and just had some follow-up questions. But yeah.
Cool. Out of curiosity, with the restrooms at West State Street Park, where are they planning to put those in, and what are they going to do with the building where they have them currently?
Yeah. We'll keep the building that we currently have restrooms in and concession stands, so that's going to stay open, and that'll be the concession stand. And
will those bathrooms stay open too, or no? Okay.
Yeah. And then the new restrooms will be at it's Riverfront and is it Fenway? Is that the one?
So back
there's
behind.
So we're the new parking area extended out into what used to be the grassy area. Now it extended closer to the ball fields. There's like a strip of grass and there's some trees, and then back there is where the red ninja court play area thing is. The restrooms will be in that strip close to the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good spot.
Yeah, so then it kind of spreads out restroom use too, because plenty of people will still use the other restrooms, and then plenty of people will use those restrooms. But Sandlot, they rent out 4 porta potties a season, basically. So when we were going through the design and trying to figure out what makes the most sense year round, and also what makes the most sense for the users at West State Street Park, we went with that 4 family restroom design.
Are you gonna like have an area that would be close to that to potentially maybe move concessions back to that area?
Yeah,
or-
that's definitely something that Sandlot expressed interest in, and we were talking briefly in one of the multiple iterations of how to get this project done, going back to the drawing board and creating the restrooms with concessions attached. But that's just financially, there's just not, at some point we just had to make a decision. And one of the things that you can do with these prefab buildings is that you can like modularly put them together. Now this one isn't quite like that, but whenever we were thinking through the design of the building itself and then the way we can orient it, you can build off of it to create a concession stand, basically. But that is something that Sandlot would like to see. One of the other things that we always have to consider is, well, if the concession stand is really just for Sandlot, that's not something that we need to be paying for. So as from the city perspective, so if it's a concession stand that many user groups would be able to use and figure out a share, but we haven't quite, and I don't know if we haven't heard that that's something that people would like because people don't think it's an option. I have no idea, but it's not something that is a pressing need from the community communicated to me that like, hey, we need a concession stand to serve other groups and other purposes.
Any other?
And I know last meeting we talked about Highland Park, and I can't remember what we talked about or what was decided or anything. Any updates on Highland Park?
So that is in 2025. We will build a new shelter house closer to the playground, so that there's more of a connection and it will be an accessible path connection between the playground and the shelter house instead of where it is currently. And then we'll probably start dismantling the shelter house this winter up there. Yeah. And we'll leave the concrete pad for now. I'm sure we can figure, kids like to play Foursquare and stuff, and so do adults, not just kids.
Other questions? Comments for? All right. Does anyone have any announcements? Anything that they'd like to share? Need to share? One thing that didn't get on the agenda was I normally put a community feedback or anything that you all may have heard out and about. Anything going on? All right. Well, then our next meeting is Thursday, December 19th, right here, 5:30. With that, do I have a?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Let's get out of here. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.